Welcome to Guest Talks with Tracy Arvine, bringing you special guest interviews from musictalks.xyz.
Hi everybody, it's Tracy here with our Guest Talks feature for Music Talks, and today we've got Australian singer-songwriter Amber Lawrence. She's a 4-time Golden Guitar winner. She's released, I think she's got her 6th studio album out, amongst so many other things going on. Welcome to Guest Talks, Amber.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, very nice to be here.
Yeah, so look, you've been pretty busy. Even though you've had a little bit of a break, you haven't really had a break. I mean, you took some time out, obviously, to have your beautiful little boy. Yeah. And how's he?
Oh, he's good. You might hear him in the background. I'm at my mum's house, so she can kind of babysit him whilst I'm doing this.
Yeah.
If I left it to chance that he'd be quiet while I was doing this, but great. He's 10 months old, and he's just a really great kid that goes with the first off it all. Actually, I did my first gig back 4 weeks after he was born, and rehearsals a few weeks before that. So it's been full on ever since, and this new album came out last Friday, but It's my first solo album in 3 years. However, in the 3 years since my last release, I released 2 kids albums and a collaboration album with Travis Collins. So yeah, certainly haven't been sitting at home doing nothing. I've just been doing different things and keeping very busy.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, with your children's albums, how's that with, how old's your little boy now?
He's only 10 months old.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually released my first kids album 3 years ago. Didn't have any kids at all, and but I didn't really think that mattered. It was really more about the fact that as an entertainer, I've always had a really great relationship with all ages. Would come to my show, but more than many other artists, I would have a lot of kids come to my shows, and it was always interesting for me. And I think it's just because one, my songs they're for all ages. There's a lot of inspirational stuff there, but I think I'm just an energetic and kind of engaging performer that kids enjoy watching. So I ran with that and started writing kids songs, and they're so much fun to write because you just, in terms of compared to writing songs for my contemporary projects, you don't really have to think on two or three different levels. You just kind of write the song, and is it fun? Does it make you smile? Is it simple? And there it is. So I've had a lot of fun with the kids projects, and I will be doing another one this year.
Oh,
so,
great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, well, they say apparently to actually write a hit song, even in commercial music, I can hear him.
I know. My mum's got 4 grandkids here, so he's not the total focus.
Oh, sorry. You might hear a dog bark in the background here, or a bird squawking. Or my kids usually don't ever listen to me. But they're teenagers now. But hey,
oh really? Okay.
Oh my gosh, I won't even go there. So they say that when you're writing, commercial music or non-kids albums, the trick to writing a hit is to think of a nursery rhyme. Writing a nursery rhyme.
True.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Melody and repetition and simplicity. That's what is a radio hit, really.
Well, that's what people are familiar with. It's sort of ingrained in their brain since early stages of music. So,
that's right.
They don't like. Most people like also the typical format of a song. They get used to that. But then again, nowadays, you've got your streaming platforms like Spotify that are kind of, I guess, encouraging people to write shorter and shorter songs, which is just, I won't even go there either. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, radio's certainly encouraged that in the past too. If you want a radio single, you don't want to do a long song. My new album's got 10 tracks on it, and it goes for 32 minutes. So, and not because we deliberately tried to make them shorter or anything. It's just that I think the producer I worked with, he's a very commercial producer, And we, if it didn't need a solo, the song, we didn't just put solos in for the sake of it.
No.
So that there are. It's only 32 minutes, so you don't get very far because that if you divide it, each track's about just over 3 minutes long, and that's how you write a song these days, I guess.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this new album. You say it's called Spark, and as you said, it was only released last week. Now, I've read that it's quite a it's quite a happy album. It's a fun album. It's energetic. So, which direction are you? You mentioned more commercial. Which direction are you leaning towards going into?
I'm a country artist. That's what I am. I sit firmly in that section in the CD store. I don't find it confusing as to who I am or what I am. But with country music these days, you can be one of a handful of types, and you can be that real kind of alt singer-songwriter. That's not me. You can be the traditional, like Slim Dusty style, and that's certainly not me. You can write about the land and the farms, and again, that's not me because I grew up in the cities. Or you can go a more Australianised version of what American country music is doing these days, and that is they're really trying to be mainstream. And
it's like country pop, isn't it, really?
Well, yeah, and I don't like the word pop because I think it cheapens country music in a way because it sounds like you're trying to cross over, which I'm not. For me, of course that'd be a great thing, but I'm not trying to cross over by abandoning where I come from. But I think it's just commercial country is what I would call my music, contemporary. And but the songs, they're catchy. I think what makes them country songs for me is there's still a story underneath each song. There's still integrity. There's still some good songwriting. It's not just who cares what the lyrics are as long as it's catchy. That's not how I write songs. It's got to still be a song that means something and people can relate to. And I'm really finding that's the feedback I'm getting for this album. People are kind of saying it's it's really enjoyable and it's their kind of party album, but when they listen deeper, they're getting something from it. And there are some meaningful tracks on there as well. There's a track called I Get It Now, which is about understanding your own parents once you become a parent.
Isn't that so funny? Oh man, I totally get where you're coming from there because I now look at my teenagers and I think, how did my mum do this? Like, what would? Because my mum's not around anymore, and I would think, I'm sure I wasn't like this when I was 15.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I can imagine what's their teenagers. I sat down to write a song with a songwriter called Mike Carr, and I was on a whole different page of what kind of song I wrote, and he suggested writing a song about parenthood, and I said, I don't really want to write that today, but then I just went off on a tangent saying, one of the things I do understand now that he was 3 months old at the time is I get it now. It's so hard, but also, why your parents love you so much and why they would say, call me when you get there safely and all that stuff. And you would go, well, maybe if I remember, who cares? We just didn't get it. So so there's that song on the album. And then the final track 10, which is one of my favourite songs, is a song called Round of Applause, which is a song about I actually wrote it because I was sitting in my office and I live across the road from a church, and it was just like 11 a.m. on a Wednesday, and I heard this huge cheer coming through my window, and I looked out the window and the streets were lined and the church was packed and the funeral car was about to drive away, and people were clapping, and I reflected on the fact that must have been an important person that had passed away. And it also happened for my dad when he passed away. People lined the streets and clapped, and so I just picked up my guitar right then and there and wrote a song about saying farewell with a round of applause. So there's lots of moments on the album where you can reflect, and then there's plenty of times just to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and so much of it is, when fans hear your music, they also they love hearing. I mean, I guess it's a big thing in a way for you to come out, because you're so vulnerable, and you're putting that vulnerability out to everybody, telling them all about your life in song. But that's what makes it really special, and that's what makes it, the fans just love what you do. That's
what differentiates, I think, what you do as a country artist, as a pop artist.
Yeah, and country has just grown. It's so huge. In fact, I think it's one of our biggest genres on Music Talks. Music Talks is actually a global site, you see, and it started off in Australia, but then it just took off globally. And the country community is incredible. Like, everybody's there backing each other up, no matter where you're from. Especially Twitter. We're a huge community on Twitter. Okay. It's just, we're quite a little bit crazy, but that's okay.
That's good. Can't wait to find out.
Just get on Twitter and just join in, because they're all artists, and some of them are actually really quite big as well, and we all just sort of know each other, and it's great. We have a really good time.
Look, country is growing, and again, that's why with this album I really want to, it's huge in America, and the thing is, when American artists come to Australia, their shows are packed out, and I go to these shows too, and I look around the room and I think, well, where are these people coming from? Because they're not really attending any of the Australian artist shows, so there's something missing here, and so that's why, again, with this album, I wanted the production to match what they're all listening to when they hear the American stuff, just the energy and the sonic quality, and I just wanted that vibe. And the title even of the album, Spark, which is a lyric in the song Heart, is also to represent that that this album, sixth album of mine, is different. It's got spark and life and all of that stuff.
And you obviously love it, and which is absolutely so important. How do you feel whenever you release an album? Do you always feel like it's always, I know it's really, probably shouldn't say this, but you always try to make it not better, but just different, and I guess up with what's current.
Yeah. Well, I reckon this time around I was actually more conscious of that. Whereas, like my first album, that's the first album you do. You just do what you've got. You do your 12 songs, and then you try and repeat that in the second and third, and then you might think a bit. By about the fourth album, I definitely tried to take a few steps forward, which I did. Crying baby, sorry. With going to America and using a different producer. And then I think on my fifth album, I was in a bit of a darker place as a person, and it was a much more singer-songwriter album. So then to come back with this album, it had so much more intention about it. There was a lot of thought that went into it, but I was also kind of less stressed. I was just like, I'm just going to play and write what I enjoy this time around, rather than going, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. And my time was certainly compromised as well. So, I'm pretty happy that I just kind of thought, let's just make it like fun and energetic and slick, and just kind of lift the production in that towards the American side of things, and I've really enjoyed how it's come out.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic actually. I've also been I've noticed that you went to New York and you performed for the president.
Yeah.
Now, hang on, which president was that?
Yeah, it's Donald Trump.
Oh, okay. And how was that? What was that all about? Can you...
Yeah, it was quite a very crazy, surreal moment where I was kind of asked to write a song for the 100-year anniversary of Australia and America's friendship, mateship campaign, it's actually called, and it was 100 years last year of the two nations working together.
Yeah.
And so there was no kind of, write the song for this purpose. It's just like, here's a good idea for a song. So I wrote this song about a man called Leslie Allen, who was a war hero, a 26-year-old in 1943 who saved dragged 12 wounded American soldiers out of the battle and kept running back in, and was awarded a Silver Star. And I thought, well, that shows mateship to me. And so I shaped the song around him and some other events in history. Then I sent it to, one contact in America, who then sent it to the American Australian Association, who then sent it to Joe Hockey. And then I was invited to sing it at an event in New York, which it just coincided that event was the same one that Donald Trump and Malcolm Turnbull were going to meet for the first time. So,
right.
Yeah, so they sat there in the front row while I stood on stage with my guitar and just sang the song, and room was silent, 800 people, this huge Battle of the Coral Sea anniversary dinner, and couldn't kind of believe that, I'd written the song. I was there singing it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I suppose, like you say, those sort of moments are quite surreal. And did you get a chance to speak to him?
No. He was quite protected, as you'd imagine.
Yeah.
And as soon as the night finished, he was ushered out. Him and Malcolm Turnbull, they left really quickly. But everybody else, all the other, lots of famous, important people in the room all stayed around mingling, drinking. And I chatted with Kevin Rudd and, a few other Australian, Grant Hackett was there, lots of John Travolta was there, and he was talking to lots of people. And I was about to say, "Can I have a photo, please?" when Kevin Rudd interrupted me and asked me for a photo.
Oh damn!
Myself. I know, but it was an honour. It was an honour to have, like even say Kevin Rudd say to me, "I really enjoyed your song." So, yeah, incredible.
Yeah, no, that's just great. So that was when did that take place? Was that just this
year? 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago. Okay.
May. Yeah, just gone 2 years ago.
Okay, and now I didn't realise you do a radio show for iHeart Country Australia.
I
do. You do, and you've received nominations for like top 10 new radio talent. Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did this year. Yeah, that was crazy. I love working in radio, actually, being on the other side, and it's a country music program, so I'm talking to people generally who I know, or I know about them, and I've been doing it for nearly 3 years, actually. So it's a once a week program, and I just really enjoy asking the questions sometimes.
And you're still doing it?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a listen. I'm going to have a listen when we finish this. I had no idea. How do you fit all this in? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I know. I'm busy. That's sure. Unfortunately, I work every single night now. After dinner, I work for hours every night before I go to bed. Because I can't get anything done during the day.
No.
I said that to my husband today on the phone. I said, Ike's awake all day now, and I kind of have to play with him, so I don't really get much done. He goes to work, as do I, but I work from home, so
it's a little bit different. It's interesting. My family don't see as what I'm doing as work, even though it's 7 days a week.
Oh, really?
Constantly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
they certainly see what I do as work. But the option is I can work from home or put Ike into childcare, but as he's gotten older, I've realised, if working from home, actually I can't get anything done now that he can walk and crawl and stays awake all day. So it was all right when he was 3 months old. That was manageable, but but I do go away a lot for work as well, so that's a bit of a juggling act too.
Yeah, that would be actually. And you also you performed. When's the hospital the Gold Telethon?
We had that. That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago as well.
Yeah, that was amazing. Really, such a great day raising funds for the Sydney Children's Hospital, and you're surrounded by. They invite a lot of the kids who have had treatment to come along to the studio, and they do lots of features on sick children. And I brought my baby with me on set, and Mum was there too. So while I was singing, I could look over and they were dancing, and it was just so special. When you've got, touch wood, a healthy child as well, you just kind of it's quite sad being that I do sometimes visit children in the hospital, ones whose parents have reached out because they might be country music fans or they might like my music. The song Heart was actually when I wrote it, I was in my mind I had a couple of young kids who I have visited or been inspired by myself. I've met them along the way, and they've just had such struggles, but they've got heart. They just don't give up, and so that song, part of it was inspired by them.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's so nice. Now, you travel. You mentioned you travel between Australia and Nashville, or the States. So, now this is a silly question because I just know how amazing Nashville is. But how do you like Nashville?
Well, yeah, I love it. It's great. I've been there maybe 6 times now, and I always have a hugely busy schedule, and writing 2 or 3 times a day, and it's exhausting. But I love the food, and I love the music culture, and I have a lot of friends that live there now too, which is great. Everything about it's great. It's so much talent is so centered there. So yes, you can achieve the same here in Australia, but you're not going to achieve it in as quick a time as going to Nashville for 3 weeks and being able to write on the same street, in different buildings every day. Yeah. Whereas, you want to do that in Australia, you'd be Melbourne today and then Brisbane tomorrow and then So I do. I like to go once a year and just enjoy it. Yeah, and come home with new songs.
Yeah, and this album that was recorded over there, was that?
No, it was recorded here in Brisbane.
That was with Stuart.
Stuart,
yeah. And he also did Shepherd, is that right?
Yeah, he has done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was basically a friend of mine suggested that he'd be, he was in my band and he knows what I do live. He'd heard my albums and he thought, you want to match what you do live. Stuart is the guy to use. I had never met him and I was scared because he wasn't necessarily a country producer, and I kept saying, it's a country album, keep it country. And we achieved that, and I'm really glad I went with him.
He is incredible. I mean, we had Shepherd on Music Talks a while ago. Actually, I think it was last year now. So, he's an amazing producer. So
he really is. Yeah.
And you looks like you've got your year doesn't really run out. You've got a lot of things coming up. So next, people can catch you. What day? Well, I don't even know what day it is today. Okay, so Friday, 21st of June.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're really busy for the rest of the year. I will place all these dates up on the website as well, so people can go and have a look. And look, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about with the album and go and buy it?
Yeah, just encourage them to go and buy it.
Buy it. Did you notice we didn't say stream?
Buy it. That'd be good. Do it today for the first week's album chart too. That'd be great.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, look, if there's anything else you'd like to mention...
If you're going to put tour dates up, and that's all good.
The
album's out now. It's called Spark. I think we made that pretty clear.
Yeah, I'll have everything up on our Guest Talks page, so everybody can have a look at the information and links and everything that you need to know up on Guest Talks on Music Talks. And this will be going up on our brand new website, which the site's just about to come down actually today, which is why I'm going crazy. And it should be back up on Friday. So we're going to have this Guest Talks podcast up on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio and YouTube and the website.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so thank you so much for your time. And
no worries.
All the best with the album.
Thank you.
I think it's going to do really well. I think it's fantastic. So
thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for talking to us as well.
No worries. Thanks for accepting, our pitch and having me on.
Oh, no problem. Our pleasure. You have a great day as well.
You too. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you another time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Guest Talks with Tracy Arbon, bringing you special guest interviews from musictalks.xyz.